On a cold October night, the village of Black Hollow lay wrapped in an unnatural silence. It was a place where time seemed to crawl, and the air carried a weight of unseen dread. The village nestled near the edge of the Wraithwood, a forest so dense and dark that even sunlight struggled to pierce its canopy. The villagers avoided it, speaking in hushed tones about a curse that had lingered for centuries. A curse born of betrayal and anger. Long ago, a coven of witches sought refuge in Black Hollow. They were outcasts, shunned and hunted by other villages. At first, the people of Black Hollow took them in, grateful for their healing and protection against harsh winters. But fear grew as whispers spread about their powers. One fateful night, the villagers turned on the witches, dragging them into the heart of the Wraithwood. There they built a massive pyre and burned the witches alive. As the flames consumed them, the witches screamed a curse that echoed through the trees. "You will hear our whispers in the dark forever." From that day, the Wraithwood changed. Shadows danced unnaturally, and eerie lights flickered between the trees at night. Cries and faint laughter would drift into the village, chilling anyone who dared listen too long. No one ventured into the forest after sunset, no one who valued their life or sanity. One fateful evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, a stranger arrived in Black Hollow. He was a tall, gaunt man with pale skin and piercing dark eyes. His name was Alaric Grayson, a historian with a fascination for the occult. He rented a room at the inn and listened intently to the villagers' warnings about the Wraithwood. "You mustn't go there," the innkeeper's wife pleaded. "The forest is alive with their anger. It swallows those who enter." But Alaric only smiled, a cold, determined glint in his eyes. "The truth hides where fear thrives," he replied. He made preparations that night, packing a lantern, a leather-bound notebook, and an iron dagger, a weapon he believed could ward off spirits. The following evening, Alaric stepped into the Wraithwood. The villagers watched from their windows, whispering prayers and closing their shutters tightly. The forest swallowed him whole, the last glimmer of his lantern flickering like a dying star. The Wraithwood was unlike any place Alaric had seen. The trees were grotesquely twisted, their branches like skeletal fingers clawing at the sky. The air was thick, almost suffocating, and the ground beneath his boots felt unnervingly soft. The only sounds were his own footsteps and the distant rustling of unseen things. Hours passed, and the deeper he ventured, the heavier the air became. The lantern's light seemed to struggle, flickering as if the darkness were alive and fighting back. Then came the whispers, soft at first, like a breeze carrying distant voices. They grew louder, surrounding him, weaving words he couldn't understand. "Who's there?" Alaric called, his voice trembling. The whispers fell silent, replaced by faint, mocking laughter that sent shivers down his spine. He stumbled into a clearing where an ancient stone altar stood, stained with something dark and dried. Surrounding the altar were statues carved from blackened wood, their faces contorted in eternal agony. The air here was colder, and the whispers grew into a cacophony. "Why have you come?" a voice demanded. It was neither loud nor soft, but it resonated deep within Alaric's bones. He turned to see shadows coalesce into figures. They were the witches, their forms translucent, but filled with a burning, vengeful energy. Their empty eyes stared at him, their faces twisted in hatred. Alaric's hands shook as he opened his notebook. "I seek the truth," he said. "I want to end the curse." One witch stepped forward. Her face was gaunt, her voice dry and brittle like autumn leaves. "Our curse was born of blood and betrayal. It can only be broken with the same." The other witches laughed, a cruel, echoing sound that made the forest seem to close in around him. Alaric's breath quickened. "What do you mean?" he asked, though he feared the answer. "A willing sacrifice," the witch replied, "but not your life." Before he could react, dark tendrils shot from the ground, wrapping around his arms and legs. They dragged him toward the altar as the witches chanted in a language older than time. Alaric screamed, but his voice was lost in the rising wind. His lantern shattered, plunging the clearing into darkness. The last thing he saw was the witches' cruel smiles as they consumed him. Days later, the villagers noticed a change. The oppressive weight that had hung over Black Hollow for centuries was gone. The whispers in the night had ceased, and the eerie lights no longer flickered in the Wraithwood. But Alaric never returned. Some said he had succeeded in breaking the curse, sacrificing his soul to appease the witches. Others believed the curse had only transformed, and now Alaric's ghost roamed the forest, bound to its shadows. On quiet nights when the wind blew just right, villagers swore they could hear faint whispers and soft laughter drifting from the Wraithwood, a chilling reminder that some darkness never truly fades.